Oh my gosh. Y'all done out there? Y'all done out there? Trying to record a YouTube video. Anyways. Hey, what's up guys? It's Jess. Welcome back to my channel. Don't mind the look I have going on here, okay? It was a long night. It's midterm week. Anyway, today's video is going to be all about Mercari. It's going to be like a beginner's guide, so I'm going to show you a tutorial and also give my tips as well. If you guys saw my how to earn money as a college student video, I have used Mercari since the summer, and it's actually been a really nice side source of income. Within my first 2 months of selling on there, I made about $1,000, and that's with like not selling every single day and prioritizing this as like a full-time job. That was just like literally on the side while I had summer school and all of that. I know people who even sell on these platforms as a full-time job. So like I said, regardless of how much time you put into it, it is a pretty nice source of income. So first I'm going to get into my tips. The first couple tips go together, and that's 1, list a few items per day. 2, have about less than 20 items up at a time. 3, update your page. I've personally found the most success when I'm constantly uploading new items as opposed to uploading all at once and then people would have to scroll through my page to try and find stuff. The problem that I ran into when I started was that I posted so many items on my page, which you think would be like, oh cool, she has a lot of inventory. But the issue is that I think you gain the most attention within that first week of you posting the item. So let's say it's been like a month or whatever and I still have so much stuff on my page, no one realistically is going to be looking at what I like first posted that was like weeks old, because they would have to scroll through all of the new items that I have. My rule of thumb is if an item hasn't sold in 2 weeks, delete it and create a new listing or just list something else. Also, having less than 20 items or whatever number you want to set it at on your page is actually really helpful because it allows you to keep track of everything. I know for me, I used to post so many items so they'd all be up on my page, and then like randomly someone would buy something from the bottom and I would have no idea where it is. That kind of goes into my next tip, but keep track of where your items are. You want to have a designated space for all of these items that are on your page, and you want to be organized. I have a lot of stuff that I'm selling, and there's so many times where I had to dig through all of this stuff to try and find what that person bought just because I didn't have a designated place for it. So I really recommend whatever you're currently selling on your page, make sure you know where it is so you don't have to stress about finding it later on once it sells. My next tip is to accept offers. Obviously, I probably won't accept an offer that's like ridiculously low in comparison to what I set it at. The way I'm thinking about it is that I don't expect to sell these items at their full price, even if they're like brand new. I mean, ideally that would be great, but what my personal main focus is to just get rid of my items and make whatever money I can off of them. It's really up to you. If you really want full return on what you're selling, I mean, I guess you can sell it for whatever price you want. That is totally up to you. I would say that it might not be the most successful method if you're trying to sell your stuff quickly. My next tip is to include a profile picture and a bio. This is pretty self-explanatory, but in your bio, you can just do a short little introduction, maybe the reasons why you're selling, thanking customers for stopping by your store. My next tip I have is to be extremely detailed and honest in your product description. Mercari is going to give you a bunch of categories when you're trying to list an item. It's going to give you brand, condition. There's also a category to include hashtags. I want you to fill out all of those as much as you can. Providing a lot of info for your product definitely makes it more appealing for buyers on Mercari. I didn't think I'd have to mention this, but you'd be surprised. Be honest with what you're selling. If there's like a stain, a scratch, whatever, you need to list it in that description. You definitely don't want to go through the hassle of having them get the item and being like, oh, this is damaged in this area, I want to return. Mercari usually doesn't accept returns unless they see from the buyer's standpoint that this item appeared not what they expected it to be. So you want to make sure you list any like defaults. Just in case the buyer does try to return the item, Mercari will look into the product that you're selling and see if you like listed if it had any defect. This situation has personally happened to me before, and so I just really recommend avoiding it and then just being really descriptive in your product listing. Another thing is to manually check shipping. During my first month or 2 of being on Mercari, I always went with what Mercari said the shipping should be, but this is not always accurate. And I felt really bad for this one customer. She ordered a stuffed animal, and Mercari made the shipping like $15. I had to ship through UPS. But the reason why shipping was so expensive was because Mercari saw the size of the stuffed animal, it was like this, and assumed it was heavy. But in reality, it's probably under like 6 ounces, and that is not $15 worth of shipping. So unfortunately, I didn't know you can manually change the shipping, so this poor lady bought the stuffed animal but then had to pay like $15 worth of shipping, which is totally unrealistic. Luckily, she was super understanding and I definitely learned from that mistake. Another problem is that sometimes I had to pay for shipping and I always list that the buyer pays for shipping. One time I went to the UPS, I sold my American Girl doll. First off, my next tip is to check the price of your items, like compare it to other items that are selling online. You want to avoid overselling, but you also want to avoid underselling. I sold my flipping rare American Girl doll for so much less than it should have been. I could have made such a profit off of it because it's not being sold right now. It's literally a retired American Girl doll. But when I got to the UPS, even though I'd said buyer pays for shipping, I had to pay like $40 to ship this item. Not even kidding, I think it was like $30 to $40, which means I only made like a $15 to $20 profit for a retired American Girl doll. That was such a bad scenario. I think UPS might have messed up on that part because maybe they didn't realize that I had the shipping label, that they could just ship it out. I don't know. Looking back, I probably would have gone back and be like, give me a refund, but it's all right. It's all right. It's in the past. It's fine. I've made more money since then. I would say if an item is small enough, you can also just mail it. You don't even have to worry about shipping. So in that case, you can just put your item as free shipping. Maybe it will sell faster. And then you can just like mail it in the mail with a stamp, and that is virtually costs nothing on your end. So the next tip is if you don't have shipping supplies, you can do one of two things. One is that you can actually order free supplies from the United States Post Office website. I personally haven't gotten anything from them before, but I do know that a lot of people do and find it useful when they're selling on these platforms, so that's an option for you there. My whole philosophy is trying to make this as eco-friendly as it can be. So what I actually do is I repurpose any old shopping bags that I have, so that way I don't have to waste a shopping bag I got from a retail store, nor do I have to bring any additional items into my house that I don't really need. Another thing you're going to need is packing tape, and you're probably going to be using more than you anticipate, so I just recommend you always having one on hand. Another thing is that you're going to have to print out your own shipping labels. The post office doesn't do it for you. UPS charges for it. So make sure you have a printer or access to a printer, or you can even get a specific shipping label printer. Next tip is to analyze what's selling. You don't even have to compare your items with the other items people are selling. You can look at your own page and compare what's selling and what's not. I posted a mix of clothes, stuffed animals, other toys, household items, and what I saw the most success from, at least on my site, was like stuffed animals and toys. I would say I made almost 90% of that first $1,000 from just selling in those two categories. So since I have a lot of toys and a lot of stuffed animals, and since you only want to list a certain number on your page at a time, I now prioritize those items first when I'm trying to create a new listing. Because what I've noticed from analyzing my page is that any items in those two categories have a higher rate of selling. My next tip is to use your own photos and have a nice background and good lighting. I do not have specific lighting things that people use for their YouTube videos or their Mercari posts. I also don't have just a camera. I have my phone and that's about it. But it doesn't matter what you have. Honestly, use what you got and make it work. Natural lighting can be your best friend. I would recommend taking all of your photos with some natural lighting. For some of my items, I just have a clear white cloth and I just put the item on there, and then it's very clear to see what the item is. Other times what I'll do is I'll just lean it up against a white wall and then take a picture there. My next tip kind of relates back to shipping, but don't overestimate product durability. I do this a lot, which is very risky and not recommended. The reason why I say this is because one of my items actually broke during transit, and this was on eBay. This wasn't on Mercari. So not only did I sell the item for literally 99 cents, I also had to pay for shipping because I put it as free shipping. It arrived broken, so she returned it, and I had to pay for the shipping costs for her to return the item. So I ended up losing $10. I made zero profit from that sale. Okay guys, I just made it to the post office, and I also underestimated how cold it was outside because I'm kind of a little cold. But what I'm going to do is just drop off my package. You don't really have to wait for it. All you do is drop it off and leave unless you really want a receipt for that extra security. I personally am fine with just leaving it there. That's the end of the video, so if you guys have any questions for me or any other video ideas, feel free to leave that in the comment section down below, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Oh, wait, I switched it up. I meant to say I'll see you guys in my next video, but I also hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!